Welcome, folks. Another mini-sode for you. Dustin Harris hanging out with you in the saddle. Sure appreciate you joining me, folks. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas holiday and a wonderful new year. We are into 2017. Super excited about the prospects before us. I want to talk today about a common question that I get on a regular basis, and that has to do with quality. Specifically, the question comes from people who are a little bit skeptical of the way that I run my business. Before we get into that, I want to talk about another way that I run my business, and that is ANOW software. ANOW can be found at anow.com/coach. It's anow.com/coach. What is ANOW? ANOW is the ability to manage your appraisal office. Can't wait to tell you more in just a few minutes. Well, folks, I get that question on a regular basis about the way that I run my office, and you all know that I rely heavily on technology. I also rely heavily on human resources. I'm a big advocate of utilizing other people with great skills to help in the process. Now, I've talked about this before. I think it was, episode number 180 or 185 when we talked about appraiser sources. Go back and listen to that one if you've not. But I want to get into a little bit more detail about the quality side of things, because the question often comes, again, some people question how I do things. Fine, whatever. I can take it. I got tough skin. But the other question that comes up is, well, Dustin, okay, let's just say that you're right. Let's just say that it's okay to utilize other people in your office. What about the quality? What about the quality of your report? Well, folks, I can tell you without question, the quality of my reports has not diminished since I started using human resource. It has by far, not even a question in my mind, increased. The quality of my appraisal reports has gone way, way, way up as I've started to utilizing other people. Now, I know it's a bit of a dichotomy for some people, because they look at it this way and they say, if you want something done right, especially if you're an appraiser, somehow it means more when you're an appraiser. I don't know. But if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. I hear this all the time. Okay, fine. Here's the problem with that. There's such thing as limited time, and we all have it. Okay, and consequently, we sometimes, I don't know if you've ever heard of this term. It's called the Parkinson's principle. Okay, Parkinson's principle basically says that whatever time is allotted, we will get done what needs to be done within that allotment of time. Now, there's definitely some exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, this guy has studied the way human behavior works. And basically, if you are given 5 tasks to complete in 8 hours, you will take the full 8 hours to complete all 5 tasks for the most part. Again, in general, not specific, but in general, okay? If you are given those same 5 tasks and you're given 5 hours to do those same tasks, you will do those 5 tasks in that 5 hours. Now, some would say, well, yeah, you're going to do it in 5 hours, but you're going to cut quality. Not necessarily. A lot of times what you do is you actually become more efficient, more effective at what you do, and your quality actually goes up, okay? Now, follow me on this. If you've got a situation, in fact, let's not use appraisal for a second. Let's just use the plumbing industry. Okay, let's say that you've been a plumber for 32 years, and you're an excellent plumber, and everybody looks to you. Your name's on the building, your name's on the truck, your name's in the yellow pages if they ever, if they have those still. But it's your company, folks. It's Joe's Plumbing Service, and you are Joe, and everybody looks to Joe because Joe is the expert plumber. Okay, great, fine. But let's just say, for whatever reason, that Joe is not the best at connecting, pipes underneath a kitchen sink. Okay, he's really good. Sorry, I'm just thinking of this analogy on the top of my head, if you couldn't tell. Okay, but he's really good at the plumbing underneath bathroom sinks, and he's really good at toilets and septic systems and inlet valves and all of this stuff. But for whatever reason, maybe he didn't spend a lot of time under the kitchen sink. Maybe he just didn't like the kitchen sink, so he always avoided the kitchen sink. Maybe it was that awful dread that every plumber has about the kitchen sink, and he just let that get to him, and he just never really learned well how to do the plumbing underneath the kitchen sink. In fact, let's even get more specific. Let's say it's the disposal. Okay, he's fine with the plumbing, but he doesn't. He's never been very good at mixing electricity with water, and so he's not very good at the disposal. Okay, does that mean that Joe, every time someone calls and says, hey, I need a kitchen remodel or I need a house built, is that going to be the situation that Joe is always going to turn down that job because it involves a garbage disposal. I mean, can you imagine? He gets a brand new job and he starts to bid it out, and then he realizes that they want a garbage disposal in the kitchen, and he backs off and he says, nope, I can't do that. Or, what most people would do is he would do it, but he would not do it very well. Well, this is ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Of course it is. Why wouldn't Joe hire Frank, who's great at disposals, who used to be an electrician and now he's a plumber, and he can mix electricity and plumbing just perfectly, okay? Why wouldn't Joe hire Frank to do the disposal side of things, and then Joe take care of the rest that he's really good at? And maybe over time, Joe and Frank work better together on many projects, so they find that when they install, a septic system, for example, if he's got two people there, he and someone else, that it actually goes a lot quicker, a lot better, and the quality goes up because they're there to eyeball each other's work. They're there to work together as a team. They're there to find mistakes. They're there to make sure that everything gets done properly. Okay, why wouldn't they work together? Of course they would. Now this is ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Dustin, where are you going with this? Of course, this is silly. Well, folks, tell me what the difference is between what I'm talking about right now and what I constantly get berated with across the appraisal profession. And that is, Dustin, you cannot have other people choose comps for you. You cannot have other people do inspections for you. You cannot fill in the blank. Okay? Really? Now, there may be client-specific situations where that may be the case, and I would challenge those clients, by the way. But there may be client-specific engagement letters that the scope of work very specifically indicates that the appraiser needs to do this, that, and the other. Fine. I will respect that. I will honor that. That's not what we're talking about here. Today we're talking about quality. We're talking about what the quality of your work can and should be. I want to finish this up, but I want to pause here and talk about the quality of ANow software and the quality that it allows me to be able to improve in my appraisal office, because I don't spend so much time doing things that I don't really want to do. ANow does them for me. What do I mean by that? ANow allows me to be able to analyze my business very quickly, very efficiently, using a couple of buttons on my computer screen or my smartphone. ANow manages my appraisal office. It allows me to keep track of what's going on in the appraisal office. For example, with every order, every appraisal order, there are certain steps that need to be accomplished. And I, for one, utilize the tasks, the different steps within ANow software to know exactly where we're at. I can look at any order and I can know whether or not the inspection's been done, whether or not the comps have been put in, whether or not the sketch has been done, whether or not it's been delivered. Immediately, right now, I know that because ANow allows me to do that. Folks, if you've not checked out their free demo, you need to. Go to anow.com/coach. That's anow.com/coach for more information. Well, folks, we have a new sponsor here today. I was kind of surprised by this sponsor. They came and knocking at my door the other day, and well, I'll just tell you, the sponsor is Caffeine. Yeah, that's right. Caffeine is an official sponsor now of the Appraiser Coach podcast. It is what it is, folks. You can find caffeine really anywhere. You can find it in coffee. You can find it in tea. You can find it in soft drinks. You can find it in pill base. If you want to go to Walgreens or CVS, you can pick up a bottle of caffeine. What is caffeine, folks? Caffeine is a little modern miracle. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of pushback from people saying, oh, caffeine's bad for you. It probably is. Hey, it's a sponsor here. What can I say? Caffeine will help you get through the afternoon. Okay. You've all been there, folks. You've been working on appraisals all day long. You have 6 to do today. You're only through 5. You need 1 more and you just don't have the energy to do it. Folks, here's your solution. It's called caffeine. Go out and get a soda, go out and get coffee, go out and get tea, go out and get that pill. Whatever you need, caffeine will give you that boost that will allow you to do more, that'll get you through the afternoon. Don't let the afternoon blues get you down. Try caffeine and see what energy can be found. All right, folks, we are back. We are talking today about quality of reports, and specifically the question that I get quite often is, Dustin, how can you utilize people in your office and think that your quality is going to not be decreased? Well, folks, I'm going to claim the exact opposite today. What I'm going to claim to you is that not only do my reports not look worse, but they actually look better as I started utilizing people that I trust, that I've trained well, and that I supervise. And that's the key, folks. You choose the right people, you get them trained properly, and you manage them efficiently. If you will do those things, you will find that the quality of your reports will go up. Let me give you one example of that. Okay? In my office, it is not just me that looks at the appraisal process. It is not just me. Now, let me give you a little story to help illustrate this. When I first started coaching, I started putting out blogs. And it was just me, folks. It was just me writing those blogs. It was just me getting the articles put together and rereading them and making sure that they all look nice and fancy. Well, folks, if you'll go back to the beginning of my blogs years ago, 4 or 5 years ago when I first started blogging, you will find that there are lots of mistakes in those blog posts, lots of mistakes. Why? Because it doesn't matter how much I read my own stuff. Psychologically, I skip over the mistakes. I don't know why that is that we do that, but we do. We skip over the mistakes because we, I guess, make assumptions on what should be there. And even though it's not there, we see it because we think it should be there. Okay? And that's what happens. Well, about a year into that, I finally started taking my blog posts and running them past another person. Sometimes this was a professional. Sometimes it was somebody else. But as I started doing that, I realized just how many mistakes I was making. And now I do not put out a blog post that does not go at least through 2 different people. Okay? Now, same is true with my appraisal reports. And I would highly encourage that yours do the same thing. Every report in my office, every report, I can say with 100% accuracy, goes through at least 3 sets of eyes. Okay, at least 3 people look at every report before it goes. And when I say look at, I mean in detail, look at before it goes out the door. Now, most of my reports, I would say 95% of my reports actually go through a 4th set of eyes as well. Okay, a review service that we utilize to look at our reports and make sure that everything, that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. Okay, folks, think about that. Every single report in your office, how many sets of eyes does that go through? My guess is 1 or 2. My guess is probably 1, if you're like most appraisers. Nothing wrong with that. Did that for many years. But let me ask you a question. Do you think the quality of your reports would be higher or lower if you were able to run that past other people to look at and to scrutinize and to ask questions about? Well, folks, that's just one example of how the quality of our appraisal reports can be improved as we utilize other people. The other one is very obvious, I hope, from the analogy that I made earlier about Joe's Plumbing and utilizing Frank. Folks, would it not be better if within our office we defer to people who know more about installing the garbage disposal than we do? That we recognize what our weaknesses are, that we recognize what our strengths are, and that with our weaknesses we are able to delegate some of that, supervised, yes, acknowledged, absolutely, to someone else. Now, what I mean by acknowledged, again, something we've talked about earlier on the Appraiser-saurus episode, but remember that whenever you have some significant assistance given, very, very, very important that you give credit in the report to the individual, their title, and specifically what they did. That's a use PAP requirement, folks, and that is something that we do in our office. Anything that is significant, okay, this is Tier 3 type stuff. When we do Tier 3 delegation, we always give acknowledgement in the report. We recognize the individual who did it, and we in very bold letters, not hiding it at all, on the certification page, what they did, who they are, and what their title is. Very, very important, folks. Hope that helps today. Explain or answer the question that I get often is, what about the quality of your reports when you delegate? Folks, it is the exact opposite of what you think might happen. You think that when you delegate, the quality is going to go in the garbage. When you delegate and delegate properly and supervise properly, the quality of your work actually goes up. Speaking of the quality of your report going up, would you please take a look at the All-Star team? You can go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, check out memberships, and check out the All-Star team. If you want more helpful tips and tricks and ideas and processes that I utilize in my office to improve the quality of my reports, you'll find that on the All-Star team with an 8-page color newsletter every single month, as well as access to other great information. It's the All-Star team. Check it out. Folks, thanks for being here, and we'll catch you next time.